Should we judge historical figures by modern moral standards, or does that miss something essential about ethics? Mark, I'd
Retro-
like.
Retroactive moralism is a mental disorder.
Agreed.
You're expecting that people from centuries ago would have abided by today's standards. You're insane. You're mentally
Agreed.
ill.
You're 100% correct.
There's not a single habitable corner of this planet where you can pick a civilization, a country, a region that was abiding by today's standards 200 years ago, or 150 years ago, or 100 years ago. There just isn't, right? And this week was full of a lot of people on Twitter talking about white supremacy and white people are bad because they're the savages of the earth and they did this and they that. And I'm like, guys, number one, in the year 2025, there are huge swaths on the continent of Africa where child rape, child marriage, forced marriage, and slavery are ubiquitous and widespread, right? So there's 35 million slaves on the continent of Asia, right? There's not any group of people that was extraordinarily savage, over and above other people. Like the Maoris went from island to island, eating the people and enslaving them. Whenever I see something like that, I'm like, where do you hear about the Arab conquest, the conquistadors, the Moors? Where do you hear about the Mongols? Where do you hear about the Maori? It's just like, no, there's.
Can I play partial devil's advocate?
Sure.
So, retroactive moralism, you can't hold people by the same standards in the past as you would today.
Yeah.
If an individual is born into if they're born in Mauritania or something where there's slavery, and that's the world that they know, would you hold that same individual morally capable the same as someone who was born in Western civilization? Does that make sense? Am I saying that right? They got the phone. So they do have. So it's not the same because they have access to a lot. Like I said, I'm kind of playing devil's advocate. I'm not saying I believe this.
No,
I'm just trying to sort of.
No, and I get you're playing devil's advocate, and I know that you're not arguing for that necessarily. But yeah, my quick answer to that is you have the entire world's historical knowledge on this device ever since people were keeping records.
And I would also say the leaders of any of these countries have
Correct.
the ability to deal with people from all over the world and to
Correct.
level up as people.
There's 32 countries on the continent of Africa where being gay is punishable by imprisonment and sometimes even death.
It did give us that one hilarious meme, though, where the guy goes, "Why are you gay?" Which I will put in.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for
Good morning.
Morning to you.
Why are you gay?
Who says I'm gay?
You are gay.
Yeah.
It gives us that. So there's a lot of bad, yes, but we have that hilarious meme.
And I've said it here before, and it bears repeating. And it bears repeating anytime the subject comes up. The North American continent was the first continent on this planet that crushed slavery, right? It was the first continent that crushed slavery 160 years ago. We did it mercilessly. And today, in 2025, slavery still exists on 3 other continents plus the Middle East.
Shout out also to William Wilberforce in England. I think he deserves
kudos
as well.
And it's because of the roadmap gifted to us by our founders in the Declaration and the Constitution. Our founders, yes, many of them were slaveholders, but they knew it was a system that they inherited. They knew it was wrong, and they created a civilization, a country, and a constitution and the founding documents, which provided us distinctively as the people who were given the moral compass and the roadmap of how to crush slavery without collapsing the entire project. Like the Civil War did not destroy the United States. 625,000 people died, but it did not end the United States, right? So, yeah.
Can I just say, I'm embarrassed, but I've been kind of following in Mark's shadows and doing a little bit of Twitter back and forths myself. And one of them that there was a comment thread on is basically the U.S., the Declaration of Independence and all that, or Jesus in the New Testament. Which side's better? And I went hard on America being the better one, for sure. It was tough. I get it. But I'm just going to say that America.
Well, I think so, and I think so because the Declaration harkens to divine providence, right? It mentions divine providence.
Yeah, it is.
So
It is kind of the precursor in a lot of ways, right?
it's not a rejection of divine providence, but it's also a socio-political, document, right? And to achieve anything, to build a country, to build a civilization, to build a society, one needs more than religion to do it. And the best example I could give of that would be Islamic countries, right? Because they're all dictatorships, right? There's no civil rights, there's no gay rights, there's no women's rights, right? And it's because they're theocrats. Their rules are based on their interpretation of the religious documents that are the basis of their religion.
And they're
Right.
fundamentalists. They're inflexible. They don't change.
Correct.
And that is
Yeah.
just bad by definition. It doesn't matter really what the religion is. It's all
Founding
going to
documents left room for lots of change, and they created a governmental system that allowed for change. Amendments to the Constitution. The most important thing about our founding documents would be the Bill of Rights, which is why I keep telling people that who do the taglines, who do the what they think are the clever taglines, like food is a human right, housing is a human right, and I'm just like, you need to read the Bill of Rights. Like, you need to read something about natural rights. Those are socio-political considerations, right? Nobody
you know what
has
I
a
think
right.
would be, sorry to interrupt, but I really want to know, and we'll come back to this in 5 to 10 years. If we live in an abundance society, all right, let's say AI takes off like crazy, which it will do, and everything is made super cheaply. We can make a house for $1,000. We can have food almost free because it's so cheap to do because nothing's going to require human labor, right? In that world, would you be more inclined to agree that things like housing is a human right, or would that have no impact?
I believe that anything that requires the labor, time, resources, money, and talent of other people is not a human right. Your human rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I think, and I hope, and I deeply hope, and actually pray that it remains that way.
I do fear a world, though, where human labor is not needed and not wanted. But in 5 to 10 years, when that happens, we can reevaluate that.
Yeah,
See
and
what
I
you
hope
think.
you're wrong about that 5 or
I
10
hope
year.
I'm wrong too. I really hope I'm
Well,
wrong. I just really think I'm not.